It's Diane, the Creative Inkster. Today is Monday, June 13th, 2022, and it's time for our creative escape together. This is a card we're going to do tonight. I'm going to show you how to insert this piece so your piece just slides right in there. You see it between the greeting that you can just stamp right on there, and also if you've got some really pretty pattern paper on the back, you see it inside the card. So no cutting, no fussy stuff, a really simple, straightforward card. I've got a couple of iterations. I want to show it to you in this format, as well as if your card opened up or was in more the portrait layout. So hang with me. This is the Happy and Heartfelt Cling stamp set, which I'm using for one of the cards. And for the other one, I'm going to use Cup of Tea because I want to show you how to change that edge in there to accommodate a larger greeting. If you're watching live, do let me know you're here. I love to know who's out there listening, and banter back and forth, and certainly leave me a comment. If you're watching the replay, that's wonderful as well. I will catch your comment afterwards and reply, and it's just wonderful for me to know who's watching the videos and what you think of these different projects. So let's just give people a moment to check in and let me know they're there. I know there's a little bit of a delay, so it sometimes takes maybe 20 seconds for what I say to then have you be able to comment back and see the reply. So yeah, this idea I saw online, and it was done by another demonstrator, Alyssa Zwolinek. I don't think I'm pronouncing her name correctly. I do apologize for that. It was something that her team member had posted that she'd learned through her. So, hi Brenda, welcome. Yeah, so I wanted to share it. I thought it was different and unique. What you definitely need for this is a paper trimmer, the kind where you can run between two numbers. So on this paper trimmer from Stampin' Up, there are numbers on this side, so you could line it up at the 3-inch mark and cut to the 1-inch mark. That's the kind of thing we want to be able to do. You want to have a trimmer that does that. And I will just get our parts out here and we'll get started. So I'm going to show you all the cutting from start to finish. So this is for my second version. So for this one here, on this sample card, hi Vicki, I used mint macaron, and the designer series paper is artfully composed. I still have a fair bit of this left to use up. This is retiring June 30th. So if you like any of our stuff from the January-June catalog and it's not carrying over, especially the paper because it won't, then you'll want to get your hands on it. I love the ladybug. I really feel like I've used him a lot lately, him or her a lot lately, and but it's just so perfect for this time of year. And then a couple of little embellishments in my stamp. So very, very simple and straightforward card. We're going to do a similar thing with this piece here. So this paper is called Abstract Beauty. Once again, it's from the 2022 January to June mini catalog, and it's got a couple of different colors in here. One of them is Balmy Blue, and that's what I'm going to do my card base in. And this time we're going to do this iteration with it going this way. Okay, so I'll show you how you put your cut in a different way. All right, so let's get started. It'll have a little bit different look. We're going to cut a standard piece of cardstock, which is 8.5 by 11 at 4 1/4. That's halfway across. Slide it in the paper trimmer. Cut it at 4 1/4. You have two, so you can make two cards, or if you goof up like me once in a while, you can have a second one ready to go. Then I'm going to score it at the halfway mark, which is 5.5 inches in. Okay, that's our standard card base that opens up like this. You could also do it this way. I like it going up like this. And I need my bone folder, so grab that and crisp up that line a bit. There we go. Hi Debbie, welcome. And then we're going to make the slit. so that we can put another greeting in here. So kind of important is to know the size of your greeting. So I'm going to grab my ruler. The last one I did on this card was the thank you. And this stamp is 1.5 by 3/4, I'd say, from top to bottom. So I've made this slit 1 inch through here so it would fit nicely. If I was to do a much larger one, I'm going to change up my measurements on that. For this one here, I'm going to do exactly the same. It's going to be a thank you. So I've got my card base. I'm going to cut my Abstract Beauty paper to 2 inches wide by 5.5 long. So this is 4 by 6. So I'll just first snip off a 1/2 inch piece. And I always snip that piece off the longest edge so that I have the most width if I want to put it inside my card as a way to use up the scrap. And if it's not quite the same width as your card, that's okay. Just pull it up a little bit so you see an even border all the way around. Or you could stick it on your envelope, whatever you like to do. So let's stick it there while we've got this here in handy. Either side would work. So we're going to stick this down. There we go. And then here, we said 5.5 by 2. So because this is 4 by 6, I'm going to get enough for 2 cards right out of this piece. Okay. Now we want to stick this down through here, but we want to create that piece of the card base that we can do the stamping on. So I'm going to line up my card base. There's my fold. I'm going to line it left of the center fold at 1.5 inches. So this bottom edge at 1.5 inches. There's my fold. And then I'm going to pull my cutting blade up and I'm going to cut between 1 and 3. It really doesn't matter where you go. I'm just going to stand up so I can see well. But I need it to be the same width as my piece of paper. So this is 2 inches wide. I have to definitely create a slit that's 2 inches wide. So I'm pushing it down at 3 and then pushing my cutting blade up to 1. Okay, and then I'm going to lift this and I'm going to move it over an entire inch to 2.5. And I'm going to push it back down. And I'm going to just double check that I'm on the 1 inch on this side, 1 inch measurement, press in and pull down to the 3 inch. And if I had a steady hand, I should end up with a nice little slit in the middle here. It could be off center, you know, you can put it wherever you like. It's going to be a little bit off center anyway. All right, what we want to do is feed this so that it goes down the top slit. And it's going to be a tight fit because they're both 2 inches. So if you're off just a hair, you're going to have to trim something. There we go. So I can just push that in there. And then I'm going to push it up the bottom slit. Once again, we want to make sure that we've got a 2 inch and 2 inch where we got a little bit we got to play with. We got to do a little wiggling here. There we go. And straightening out. All right, so that's the idea, is you pull your piece down and then the pretty pattern will be on the other side. Actually, I should have put the other side up, but that's okay. So we've got our piece that looks like this. Needs a little bit of scoring. And we want to glue it in place. But before we do that, I'm comfortable doing my stamping right on there. But if you're not, you might want to do your stamping before you slide the paper in. That's just a little tip. So I want to do the thank you again because I always seem to need thank you cards. So, and that's a good size. Where's my block? Here we go. I'm going to do a coordinating color, which is Night and Navy. And we're going to do a little stamping right on this piece in the middle. There we go. Not bad at all. Pretty even, I gotta say. So this stamp set, Happy and Heartfelt, has some beautiful fonts on it, lots of greetings, 15 different greetings. This is retiring at the end of June, and I didn't check the list to see if it even has retired. I apologize for that. And now we want to glue this strip down, but if you message me afterwards, I can let you know. And you're just gonna, I'm gonna use my liquid glue. You can use whatever. I'm just using it so that I get some near the top and to the edge. I'm gonna make sure it's lined up nice and straight. Should be, because it's got that 2-inch. It's only gonna go so far in there. And then do the same on the bottom. And if it folds back, flip it over and press on the back side. There we go. That will work. And we have this interesting new way to put your greeting on. Now, I happen to have some of this polished pink, which kind of matches, with some adhesive already on it. It was left over from a class. And I thought, well, I'll just cut out a bunch of these butterflies. So these are from the beautiful Brilliant Wings dies. I use them a lot. The stamp set, not so much. But the dies I do use a lot. You know me, I love butterflies. And so I hold off. I do try to hold off and not do too many all the time. So then I punched out or cut out 4, I guess. And I thought, just use these guys up. There we go. Does it need a 4th one? We do like odd numbers, don't we? But I'll put another one on, then if I feel I need another one, I can always cut another one out. So they just already had adhesive on them, might as well use them up. And there we go. And we just need to add a little bit of some kind of embellishment. So maybe some gold, maybe a bow. I don't know. I feel like it doesn't need it, but we'll get some regular embellishments here. Let's see. I thought I'd picked something out ahead of time. No, maybe not. Maybe I was just thinking of the pretty ribbon. So we'll go with just plain pearls. They're always in style, right? I'll just add some of these, maybe on the little, on the little butterfly guys. So that's how you would change these measurements up, and these will be all on my blog. And so I'll put a link to the blog with the pictures so you can get all the measurements and the video and the supplies list all in the same place. Oops, I feel like I'm a little bit off. Oh, that's better. There we go. Hi, Val. Welcome. And so there you have it. Just a very simple with very minimal supplies card. When I go back to in-person and actually do a workshop someday in the future, this should be a card, don't you think? I think with a punched idea like this guy, perfect. So there's your 2 orientations. So now I'm going to show you how to do this orientation with a different card and different paper. So this is Petal Pink. Not a color I use a lot, I'll be honest. And for the Petal Pink, I want to cut it to 8.5 by 5.5. So I'm cutting it the other way this time. 8.5 by 5.5. Got 2 pieces. Got one for when I goof up. Now I'm ready to put my score line in the middle, which is at 4 1/4. So we go along the 8.5 inch side, horizontal at the top, and we score at 4 1/4. And that scores your card right in half. Okay. Now we need to add the score line for our paper piece. And my measurements say line it up from the edge at 1 1/2. Oh, that's right. I wanted to show you on this one something different. So with this card and the last card, this is 1 inch along here. But this greeting in Cup of Tea is a bit bigger. It's a bit taller. It measures from the top letter to the bottom of the other letter about a 1 1/4. So I want it to be, what did I say, 1 1/2. And still the 2 inches is fine. So to do that, we want to change our measurements just a little bit. So let's clean up this block and get a new one on there. So we're going to do this other, actually let's do this take care of yourself. That looks even better. So the take care of yourself, the same idea, it's about a 1 1/4 by 2. So it's a bit wider, which is kind of nice. That's a nice greeting. Take care of yourself. Put that on the block, ready to roll. And on our card base, we are going to go left of the fold mark again, same as I did with the last one. Is that your t-shirt? That's cute. We're going to go left of the fold, and we're going to, whoopsie, sorry about that, should turn my phone off. We're going to go line up left of the center fold at 1 1/4 inches. Get out of the way here. 1 1/4 inches. Okay, and get that cutting blade up here, and cut between 1 and 3 again. Stand up because that's part of the instructions, so you can see what you're doing. Cut between 1 and 3 because it's 2 inches wide. And then we're going to move it over 1 1/2 inches. So 1 1/2 and 1 1/4 is 2 3/4. 2 3/4. I'm going to cut between 1 and 3. So we have a little bit wider slit this time. Oh, we need to cut our paper too. I didn't do that yet. Here is this really darling paper that comes in the TB Boutique. I want it 2 inches wide by 4 1/4. I want it to go the full length of the card. Normally when we do a layer, we don't go the full length. We cut a little bit off, but I do want this to be right through there. So feed it through once again, through the top slit or the slit closest to your card fold, and then back through the bottom slit. Wiggle it through, wiggle it through, wiggle it through. Of course, you could probably do 100 of these sitting by yourself when no one's watching, and they would come through just perfectly. And the one time you need to do it on camera, they're a little fussy. Maybe I didn't cut that one quite thoroughly. Okay. Come on, you. All right, we're going to just give it a little haircut. So if this happens to you, you just need to give it just a little bit of a haircut. Just a titch. There we go. You don't want too much because you don't want it to fall through or slide through, although you're going to glue it down. And then you can put it through and it will come through. There we go. Just needed a little encouragement. All right, so I'm going to line this up flush with the fold at the top and glue it down in place. There we go. Grab my liquid glue. Grab my liquid glue, get it going here. All right, and that'll fold down nicely. There we go, and then just same at the bottom. I'm not looking up, I should be looking up. I'm busy worrying about getting this straight. There we go. All right, friends, that's it. Now we have this greeting, take care of yourself, and you want something that matches. So in this case, I'm going with Gorgeous Grape. Color I don't use very often either. So obviously this is going to work best with light colored card bases. like crumb cake, a Sahara sand, white, or balmy blue, pretty much any of the subtle colors. But you just want to make sure that you stick to that. If you go with anything that's dark, it's going to be difficult to see unless you want to emboss it, which is another option. And then I had die cut out a little bit of an embellishment for this. I'm going to use the teacup because it is so cute. And let's grab my silicone mat. I'm going to add a little bit of liquid glue to the back of this, just in a few spots. I could have used my adhesive sheet as well. Didn't have that handy, so I'm pretty comfortable using my liquid glue and just dotting it on here. I've also done it where I've used a wedge of sponge. We don't sell the sponges anymore, but you could have a wedge of even a makeup sponge, something inexpensive from the dollar store, and you can dip it into a little blob of the glue and then sponge it on by using the back of the silicone mat. That keeps it from sticking all over your paper. Just a quick tip, but this works well for me. Just a couple little daubs here and there. Lines up this beautiful die that goes over top of the teacup. Quite nice. All right, we're going to pop this up with some dimensionals. Here we go. Right over here. And I've got some of this ribbon to do a nice little bow. I might do a double bow even. I like this, but I find it's a bit thin. So usually when I've got something like twine or that's rather thin, I prefer to do a double bow just to give it a little bit more weight. I find that I don't use that much more ribbon because I end up wasting a bunch when I do a single bow anyway. So this gets me working it nicely. All right, so just pull that tight, and then you can open up your two edges of your bow, the two bow edges, and grab a glue dot, pop this in place. So tomorrow night I'll be back. I've got my Technique Tuesday all ready to go. We are going to use a specific stamp set, but if you have one that works the same way, you're definitely going to be able to replicate it. It's going to be using some Stampin' Blends, or you could just use markers, and that will add some kind of a reverse thumping, it's called. Anyway, you'll have to drop back by to see that. Okay, so I will see you tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. In the meantime, I want to thank you for watching tonight. Here are the cards. I'll be posting them with the link to the supplies list and video, and I hope you give it a try. Thanks very much for watching. Bye for now.